Hi, my name is Owen Dynas, and I'm a cybersecurity intern this summer with OITS. Today I'll be giving a presentation on personal cybersecurity. The goal of this presentation is to inform about cybersecurity threats we face in our day-to-day lives and what steps can be taken to mitigate those threats. Here are the topics we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be talking about attacker objectives, threats, prevention methods, and best practices. Attacker objectives. One of the first objectives that attackers will try to achieve is theft of information. This can be credit card or debit card information, login credentials for things such as banking or social media, or social security numbers. Another objective is extortion. This is where attackers will try to encrypt your data in order to extort you for money. This is often done through a ransomware attack, where an attacker will install malicious software or malware on your system called ransomware that does this encryption and asks for a payment in return for the method to decrypt and re-access your data. Attackers can also try to destroy your data and render it unusable in order to cause a disruption or gain continuous access to your system. This is where an attacker will install another form of malware called a rootkit, which will allow them to continuously gain access to your system and perform functions or steal data. Attackers can also try to impersonate you through communication forms such as email, where they send malicious emails to other people who would otherwise trust you. Some other threats. Phishing emails are emails designed to try and trick a victim into clicking a malicious link. This often leads to malware being installed through that link. Social engineering, which is when an attacker will try to psychologically manipulate people into revealing information or performing a desired action. USB devices can also be a concern, where USB devices that contain malware can be connected to a victim computer, and when that device is connected, it will run malware. Internet of Things. These are devices equipped with software and sensors for collecting data that are connected to a network and can introduce potential access points for attackers. These devices may not also have the best security practices implemented. For example, they may send data unencrypted. So, phishing emails. These are fraudulent emails meant to get you to disclose information or interact with them in some way. Phishing emails are the most common type of cybercrime. It is important to not respond or interact with any links associated with or embedded in a phishing email. Links will often install some form of malware onto the system. It's important to report phishing emails immediately, especially if they happen on a work email address or account. And phishing emails are not personalized and can be sent to millions of users. So they use generic language such as "dear valued customer" if they're trying to impersonate a business. There are several ways of easily spotting phishing emails, so beware of any emails claiming any of the following: that they've noticed suspicious activity, there's a problem with your account or payment information, that you need to verify payment or personal information, that you need to click a link to make a payment, or any other suspicious claims that you don't know where they're coming from. Other indicators are misspellings in email addresses or in the body of the email if they're sent at suspicious times. So business emails are not typically sent at 5 o'clock on a Sunday. So if you can email from that time, that can be a red flag. If they use an urgent tone to try to get you to act quickly without taking all the proper precautions, that can be a sign of a phishing email. Or if the message is not personalized. Moving on to social engineering, this is the process of manipulating people in order to gain information or access. There are several different forms of this. One is spear phishing. This is like phishing we talked about before, but focused at a specific person. If that specific person is a high-ranking executive in a corporation or other kind of organization, This type of attack is referred to as whaling. Another form of social engineering is baiting. This is when a scammer makes a false promise in hopes the victim will give up important information or install malware. For example, advertisements promising free games or movie downloads. But when you actually go to that, it installs malware. Smishing is a form of a phishing attack conducted through an SMS messages, so text message. This will be a text message that has a link embedded in it that will download malware onto your device. And finally, honey traps. This is when an attacker sets up a fake dating profile in order to lure in unsuspecting victims and exploit them. USB devices. Here's some common best practices and precautions to take in regards to USB devices. Install antivirus software that scans USB devices when they're connected to your device to ensure there's nothing on there that can be harmful. Never connect USB devices that are unknown if you don't know what are on them, especially if this happens near your workplace environment. If it does, report it to IT or security immediately. A common method by attackers to try to gain access to an organization's systems is to leave USB devices out in, say, the parking lot or another public area where somebody will probably pick them up and try to connect it to their laptop or other device to try to see what's on them. This then enables the attacker to access their system, the organization's system, through that infected USB device. It's also a good idea to disable auto run features for USB devices so that software that is on those USBs is not automatically run, as this can automatically run malware. It's also a good idea to encrypt data stored on USB devices on your own USB devices. So if that device is lost or stolen some way, the data still can't be read by whoever picked up that device. Should also create data backups on non-portable devices such as desktop computers or servers. So if that device is lost, the data on it on the USB is not also lost. You should also use drives that include built-in antivirus that can scan the device on its own and make sure that malware is not lingering on that device. It's also a good idea to never use public USB charging ports without a data blocker, which is a device that will prevent any information from being sent through a USB cable, and that only power will get through. So the only concern is with charging. And Internet of Things. This refers to devices such as smart home systems, smart doorbells, cleaning devices, or fitness watches. You want to make sure these devices are configured properly. This involves changing the default user ID and password that device comes with. And when you change a password, you want to use strong passwords and store them in a password vault or manager. You want to expose IoT devices to as little of your overall network as possible, and if possible, create a separate network for IoT devices. This can be done through the use of a subnet. You want to make sure to enable automatic updates so that security patches can be received by those devices and disable any unnecessary features or functions of those devices. And finally, some overall best practices. Make sure you're keeping your devices updated with security patches so that vulnerabilities that are found and fixed, those fixes are pushed to your devices and attackers can't take advantage of them. Want to make sure we're not using public Wi-Fi without a virtual private network or VPN that will encrypt your traffic, and make sure that attackers cannot read your internet traffic, while on that Wi-Fi network. Never click links and emails you do not recognize. This goes back to what we talked about with phishing emails. Use strong passwords and a password manager so you can use passwords that have good security and are not easy to break, and you can still keep track of them. And finally, enable and set up multi-factor authentication to provide an extra layer of security in case one form of authentication, such as your password, becomes compromised. Thank you.